we honor Orange Shirt Day, we are a community that is taking steps along the path of truth and reconciliation. And although the path is long, we take whatever steps we can together. And in this show of solidarity with children, Indigenous children, throughout this country, past, present, and future, we take those steps together. So welcome to each of you on this day. Here we are in this circle and online, and we are one community. So if you're joining us in front of your computer screen or your TV today, welcome. You're a part of who we are together. Our hearts and our minds are full this week, full of many things, full of agitation and concern for our country, for our world, wherein there are wars raging, there are protests and counter-protests, there are people always in need. Always in need. And so we come full of agitation and concern, but we also come full of peace and calm and measured responses, because we think and we act deeply. We come here full of sadness and grief for those who mourn, but also full of hope for the strength of love and the desire for connection. We come here full of our hearts and minds full of what we must lay aside, and full of hope for what's new and grows in fertile soil in our lives. So here in this circle, we are about it all of us shining the light of sacredness and connection within us, and yet still seeking expressions of it. So as a circle, once again, in a new week, a new day, let's be together, recognizing that we are one.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanne Van Beek, and I'm your gathering companion for this morning. The community candle that we light each week, it reminds us of the mystery of the sacred light that we each carry, and that we see in one another, and that we see in all children that matter. May today, as we are gathered here, we be filled with a deep mystery, a deep awareness of the mystery of that light that lies within us and lies just beyond us. May that awareness spill over in our time together this morning. Whether you are here in this room or joining us through a screen, may this light remind us that we are not alone on our journey to be light in this world. We are here together. We are shining the light of the sacred, and also, as Chris said, seeking new expressions of that light. So in lighting this candle, we celebrate our sacred light, and we prepare our hearts to seek and to embrace the new ways that we will learn today to spread and share that light.
This time deepen our resolve to live in ways that build the world we want tomorrow. May this time inspire us to act, to live the words we say, to learn and grow in the shortness of our time. Each act of love sublime. May this time deepen our resolve to seek the light and help help its brilliance grow. May this time deepen our resolve to live in ways that build the world we want tomorrow. May this time inspire us to act, to live the words we say, to learn and grow. In the shortness of our time, each one of a wonder sublime. May this time deepen our resolve to seek the light and help its brilliance glow. We will help love's brilliance grow.
My name's Tana Saker, and I'm part of the committee, and I'm going to do the land acknowledgement today. In order to do this, I asked my granddaughter, Megan, for advice. She is a PhD candidate in the U of A's Native Studies program, and her grandmother is Indigenous. She sent me a link to a video that talked about how to do a land acknowledgement. An interesting fact I learned in reading that was, and I'll see if I can pronounce this correctly, Amiska Chiwaskahikan is in Nahiwan, which is Cree, is the name for Edmonton that the Cree people used. It means Beaver Hills House. So I will use the wording of the U of A's land acknowledgement modified to our needs. This land acknowledgement is being done in the place where we are spiritually seeking. We acknowledge that we are located on Treaty 6, a traditional gathering place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many others, whose histories, languages, and cultures influence our community. We acknowledge the ancestors, medicines, languages, and teachings of these lands that continue to nourish our spirits and positively impact our lives. It is, or should be, in reciprocal relationships with individual peoples that the work we do is possible. We are able to live, work, and play on Treaty 6 territory and Métis homelands because of the generosity of Indigenous nations. We seek to always uncover the truth and to ensure that Indigenous people ways of knowing, being, and doing are an important part of our work. The last part of it said that we should put our words into action. So today we are acknowledging that by our orange shirts, and I see that many of you have done that today. The actual day is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and Orange Shirt Day is September 30th. And if you haven't got a shirt and you happen to fit a size that we have, which are not many, I'm selling some after the service in the narthex. And if you don't know the story of Orange Shirt Day, stop by and talk to me and I'll tell you about it.
The committee has chosen for us to hear and appreciate a song written and performed by an Canadian Indigenous singer. And we'll hear the song now, "And the Children." It's by Walker and the Tribe.
children, they came with eyes open wide, not knowing what to expect, not knowing if they would survive. And the children, they came, they were forced to leave their lives, forced to leave their families behind, forced to kill the Indian inside. One by one, they walked in, a brand new world awaited them. They didn't see it go away that way. Down the halls they would walk, oh, if only the walls could talk and tell the stories of the children who came. And the children, they came, and they were all alone. There was no one to hold them close, no one to love them as they passed on. And the children, they came, and they woke up the world. They're not silent anymore, they're part of our ancestors. One by one, they walked in, a brand new world awaited them. They didn't see it going that way. Down the halls they would walk, if only those walls could talk and tell the stories of the children. And one by one they walked in, a brand new world awaited them. They didn't see it going that way. Down the halls they would walk, if only those walls could talk and tell the stories of the children who came. Creator, bless our children.
Time for all ages. You may come to the carpet. You may come to the front row. You may stay in your seat. Whatever you. Today I've got a story. Do you know this one? Ada Twist, Scientist? Oh, you do. Nice. Well, the great thing about stories is it's good to hear them more than once. This is written by Andrea Beatty and illustrated by David Roberts. And just before I read this book, I'm going to say, I might need help. Well, you know what? You look up there. I won't hold the book like a teacher. I'll just read it. Okay, here we go. Ada Marie said not a word till the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world but not making a sound. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak, as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it talk? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside of your nose?" She started with why and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child, who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy the first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose. A pungent smell that curled up her toes. "Zowie," said Ada, which got her to thinking, what is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? Do you? There might be a hint in the picture, you're right. She rattled off questions and tapped on the chin. On her chin, she'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. So Ada did research to learn all she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2, her second idea. Then Zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. That cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. Well, I have a cat, I think it could. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne, so young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop." I think when she was going to put the cat in the washing machine, that's when her parents said stop, yeah. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair, now. By the time we count to 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why? Ada questioned. Her mother said, "No." What? Ada queried. Her father said, "Go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think." She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. So she sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada once more could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and Stu and the cat and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? She's still thinking about that. Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked two. And each of those led her to 3 questions more. And some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down. Oh, phew. And they came back to talk. Oh, they looked at the hallway, and they just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And that's what they did, because that's what you do. When your kid has a passion and a heart that is true, they remade their world. Now they're all in on the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as for the smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is a question. And someday, who knows? Do you see what they've got jars full of smelly things? Hot dogs, garlic, onions. What else? Banana peels. Eggs, broken eggs. Oh, yes. I see some blue cheese there, too. Amazing. They're all becoming scientists. A donut. So, I just wanted to read you this book because sometimes, we get tired of questions, us grown-ups. Like the parents, like Ada's parents. We're like, enough, stop. But you know what? That's how we figure out our world, isn't it? By asking questions. It's how scientists do it, but it's how all of us do it. We have to ask, why, what, where, when, how, why? I know, I said it again. I know. It's okay, you can ask why twice. That's okay. So, I just wanted to encourage us all to always ask questions. It's the way we learn about each other and about ourselves and about our world. Would you like to go to Kids Spirit? What's going on in Kids Spirit today? Where are your leaders? There they are. Daisy's here, but you know what? Ariane is not feeling well today. So you can ask Daisy why. Go ask her 1,000 questions. Have a good class, Daisy. I'll hear about that later.
Does the world say that you don't look the right way? Does the world say that you're just not enough? Does the world say that you're not in the right spot? When it wants you there but not here, and tells you all the things you are not. Well, I've been there too. It's hard to shut my ears to the noise. Yes, I've been there too. I don't stand a chance if it's me in this world all alone. Oh, the chatter is deafening, overwhelming, hard to find my way home. So take my hand, don't let go. Does the world say that you don't think the right things? Does it say that you're not worth the time? You're not worth the time. Does the world laugh? Does it laugh when you fall or when you cry? And does it turn the other way every time you walk by? Well, I've been there too. It's hard to shut my ears to the noise. Yes, I've been there too. Oh, I don't stand a chance if it's me in this world all alone. Oh, the chatter is deafening, overwhelming, hard to find my way home. So take my hand, don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let go. Don't let go. Take my hand and don't let go. I'm growing and I'm learning. I'm loving and becoming. I'm growing and I'm learning. I'm loving and becoming. Growing and learning and loving, becoming. I don't stand a chance if it's me in this world all alone. Oh, the chatter is deafening, overwhelming, hard to find my way home. Don't stand a chance if it's me in this world all alone. Oh, the chatter is deafening, overwhelming, hard to find my way home. Take my hand. Take my hand. Don't let go.
We'll have a moment just to share some invitations and things that are coming up in the life and the work of the community. And I invite you, if you've got something, to come forward. And while you're doing that, I'll just mention a few things. Our online Zoom post-gathering time is still happening. So if you're at home, if you'd like to join in a conversation for about 45 minutes to an hour, join at about 11:15 on the Zoom, and find the link in your weekly newsletter or at the website on your screen. Thursdays at 6. For a couple of weeks. Come if you've not come before. You're still welcome. It's an open group and a time for some conversation, connection, and that goes from 6 to 7 on a Thursday. I also want to remind any of us that Forest Friends begins this afternoon, 1 o'clock at Gold Bar Park. If you connect with nature and want to connect with nature, if you're looking for a very easy, gentle kind of connection with others in the outdoors, this is a perfect way to do that. And you're welcome there at picnic site number 2, queer and ally friendly, gentle kind of programming, nothing too programmed, and just a time to be together. So that's this afternoon. And then Janet wishes she could be here as well, Janet from our Affirm committee, but she is also feeling under the weather today. So on her behalf, I'm sure she'll be here with an enthusiastic announcement next week. But in the meantime, in 2 weeks' time, it's Thanksgiving weekend, and it's a time for us to gather with an Affirm lunch. Easy. You feel free to bring just some things that would be easy for you to prepare, some finger foods or appetizers or things that either could be heated in our kitchen or cold, and we'll share those with each other, and we'll have a time to watch and discuss a short video, which you'll also hear more about in the coming days. And there's a sign-up sheet also in the foyer on the table. If you can help to do a little setup or a little kitchen work or a little cleanup, there's some spots that you could write your name if that's something that you could help with on the 8th. So, exciting time ahead. Thank you, Harry. Here's an announcement from Harry.
Good morning. My name is Harry Pauls, and I invite you to a online SSUC workshop on expanded spirituality. Starting October 11th, Claire Woodbury and I are leading a 5-session series on Wednesday nights, and they're designed to examine how SSUC has transitioned from traditional beliefs to expanded spirituality. And also, the small group workshop time is designed to explore and to equip participants to make the transitions they're facing in their own personal spiritual life. So, if you are wanting to clarify what expanded spirituality means to you, or could mean, come to the workshop. Or if you feel your personal spirituality is changing or challenging with questions, and you're looking for a new, fresh experience of what is most meaningful to you, come to the workshop. And so if you have questions, please see myself or Claire, and register using the sign-up sheet in the lobby, and we hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Janelle Brooks here. I just wanted to tell you some good news about Elsie Paul. I spoke to her granddaughter last week or so, and she has perked up again. She's eating well. she's still on precautions while she waits placement for somewhere to live. So I'm hoping to get over to see her this afternoon, and I'll report again, but good news.
Through this series that we've been calling Something to Sing About, the music of SSUC and what it means to our journey, we've been exploring different songs that we sing, some very frequently, some maybe not as frequently, and what they might mean to our spiritual journeys. Today's focus song is written by Thomas Traeger, When There Is No Star to Guide You, and it's to a tune that we all know, written by a fairly famous guy named Ludwig van Beethoven. But we'll sing it to Thomas Traeger's words today.
When there is no star to guide you, and you cannot wait for day, and your ancient maps provide you only hints to find the way, keep within each other's calling, mark each time you make a turn. Shout for help if you are falling. Tell each other all you learn. If you think you have discovered with your lantern in the night some clear path the dark has covered, let the others bring their light. Test your single lone perception in their gathered shining beams. This may be your pathway forward, fed by work and fueled by dreams. You may sometimes trip and stumble on a hidden root or stone, but remember as you grumble that you do not fall alone. And in risking dark expanses, never marked on map or chart, you might find this journey moves you through the landscape of your heart.
From all four accounts of Jesus that the Christian tradition has given us, we understand pretty well Jesus' teaching style. It involves a lot of question marks. He answered questions with questions. By crude count, it seems that in the not that much written material, there are over 135 questions that Jesus asked. That's not a number you can take to the bank. That's just a guess. Here's a tiny sample. If you love those who love you, what good is that? Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your neighbor's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own? Why are you so afraid? If any of you has a sheep and it falls into a pit and it happens to be the Sabbath day, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? So those are just 7 questions. Some of them may be more apt than others at this moment for you. But that is really just questions that happen in 7 chapters of those 4 accounts. The written Jesus tradition has him asking questions for so many different reasons. To learn, to understand another's motivation, to accuse the established powers, to stir the pot, to challenge injustice, to point subversively to the crux of an issue, to reframe a conversation towards its meaning. Lots of reasons. And if we can take anything from all of it, it is that we ought to keep asking questions. Ada Twist, thank you for the retake on that. We recognize that good community is marked by good questions that we can ask. With each other, for each other, of each other. And it leads us to something deeper than Wikipedia or Google's answers. The value and attitudes of our questions are about seeking, they're about searching, they're about questioning, and they're a part of what it means to be on an authentic spiritual path. This is from an SSUC adaptation of Progressive Values called 8 Qualities of Expansiveness. Number 5 says this: seeking an expansive spirituality means that we find more meaning in the search for understanding than in the arrival at certainty, in questioning with an open mind and heart than in absolutes or dogma. Andre Gide said that basically with a quote that goes like this: believe those who are seeking for truth, doubt those who find it. Here's a case study. An old piece of wisdom from the prophet Micah. And because many of us have grown up with a passion, a love, a heart for social justice, we'll know this passage well. Micah asks a question. How do I show my respect? How do I live out my faith? How do I live what I believe, in other words? And this prophet didn't feel a need to concern himself with the religious views that we hold, if we hold any at all. Remarkably, his non-dogmatic response to his own question gives us a sense of how to live a positive spiritual life, and that sense has been around for a long, long time. When Harry talked about learning about what the expansive spiritual path could mean, and those sessions, this isn't a reinvention of the wheel, everyone. This isn't something new. This open sense of spirituality has been around for a long time. This centuries-old prophet doesn't answer with that old religious mumbo-jumbo. Instead, the suggestion is that there are certain actions and attitudes that exemplify the life we want to lead. And I'm going to read a part of this. Now, this is a paraphrase, so don't get up in arms if it doesn't match what you find in your Bible. Do you have a Bible? Never mind. I should not improvise. Oh, well, I'll ask the question. Here's the question. What shall I give as gratitude for this life? Shall I bring an armful of offerings? How about the most elegant words of thanks? Shall I even borrow from the future to live out today? No. It's already plain how to live and what to do. Do what's fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and kind in your love. Walk humbly with all. That's a pretty good rationale for the journey of living a life of positive values. You don't have to believe in any God for that to be an excellent code and strong principle for living. In the world of counseling and coaching, when someone is seeking help or coaching on a decision they want to make or a change that they need or a particular challenge in their lives, there is a process by which, at least I, in that practice, might ask a person this question. What options can you see in this step you want to take? What are the options in front of you? And then, usually, the person in front of me will have an answer to that. And then I will say, what else is there? And then when they maybe rattle off two more, I'll say, what else is there? And that's when they start to get angry with me. Research and studies in life design theory out of Stanford University indicate that at any given time, a person has between 5 and 7 paths available to them, and all of them are good. When we ask ourselves and each other, what else is there? It prevents the kind of thinking that we get locked into, that if this one thing doesn't happen, then all is lost. If this is true, then yes, there are some poorer options. So let's talk about them and maybe discard them. But there are between 5 and 7 other viable and good paths available to us at any time. There are choices. There are multi-opportunities, which means there is hope. And wherever there are opportunities and hope, that is one really good definition of resilience. There was a verse in a song we just sang. If you think you've discovered with your lantern in the night some clear path the dark has covered, let the others bring their light. Test your single lone perception in their gathered shining beams. This may be your pathway forward, fed by work and fueled by dreams. There's a reason why it's hard. Like these 4 amazing singers and beautiful instrumentalists sung to us a moment ago. There's a reason why the path is not meant to be walked alone. Because if you think you've discovered something with your little flashlight, one clear path. Well, what if that one clear path doesn't work out? What if a tree's fallen in the way? What if there's a twist or a turn? Well, test our lone single assumptions with the others that bring their light, because that may illuminate another pathway forward. There are options, there are opportunities. What else is there? Good question. So, have you ever seen this little cartoon, meme, whatever it is? There are alternate ways to see the world that reveal hidden possibilities. It depends often on our outlook. It depends which way we're facing and the way we're seeing. One person looks at one side of the bus and sees one thing, and the other person is looking out the other and sees something totally different. Marcel Proust wrote these words: "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." Here's another one. Oh yeah, I wrote that there. Good. Here's another one. And I'll read it because those words are really tiny. Here's a here's a turtle talking to a snail, and the turtle says, "Where are you headed?" Snail says, "Downtown." Turtle says, "Hop on." Travel, 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 travel. Snail says, "We're going so fast." whatever we're doing in our journey, it also depends on who we're journeying with. Are we going it alone, or are we asking for help? So whatever we're working on, whatever we'd like to improve about ourselves, about our relationships, about our decisions or our circumstances, the paths we see before us also depend on the attitudes and the kind of people that we're surrounding ourselves with on the journey. You may sometimes trip and stumble on a hidden root or stone, but remember, as you grumble, that you do not fall alone. We don't know what those other opportunities, other paths before us, the ones that we might consider, we don't know, even the ones where we're falling or encountering the fallen tree or needing to find a different way, we don't know where that might move us in the landscape of our heart. And that's an important question for us to have always. What is our heart learning? So good questions open ourselves to thinking more broadly, to creating a wonder in which a new way of seeing something is a revelation, not a threat. And perhaps most importantly, asking good questions establishes a ground on which we continue to learn from each other, because we're bound to see each other, in each other, alternatives that we didn't consider before. This is good ground on which we build something together. Good and healthy community, good and healthy relationships, good and healthy lives lived with depth. So, my hope, every time I have this very foolish and crazy opportunity to stand here and speak to you, which is silly, because what do I know? Really, what do I know? We all have shared wisdom, but one of the things that I hope whenever I have been given this opportunity is that we might leave with more questions than when we came. And that we won't be afraid, because there are paths before us, and along them all we'll offer ourselves to each other in the learning, in the exciting work ahead, and in the questioning spirit. May we make it so. All of us scientists, questioning, wondering, and choosing one of maybe 5 or 7 paths ahead of us in the exciting world we will make of it. So may we make it so in so many ways. Verse 3 again, because it's a good one.
You may sometimes trip and stumble on a hidden root or stone, but remember as you grumble that you do not fall alone. And in risking dark expanses, never marked on map or chart, you might find this journey moves you through the landscape to your heart.
At this moment, we're going to be strengthening our intentions together as we do each week. Please read with me. May the sounds of our lives be filled with melody and lyrics that affirm, encourage, cherish, and impact our world in positive ways. We celebrate with joyous refrain, and we sing mournful songs for those who struggle. We sing songs of strength in solidarity for those striving for freedom and safety, and those working for peace and justice. We affirm we are all have a part and are invited into the singing. May we know that together through our work, we can create music that will make the world more beautiful. As today's music comes back to our hearts and minds throughout the week, may be reminded of the values on which we're centered, the love with which we live, and the rhythm of compassion and justice that direct the music. May it be so. As we close off our gathering this morning, some people say we blow the light out, but it's actually we change the light. A candle actually is not blown out. It's simply transformed. The flame disappears, but actually that light is just transformed. And I think in the same way, we are sacred lights ourselves. And we leave this space today to shine somewhere else. So today, wherever you find yourself this week, I hope that you ask lots of questions to begin with. But may you be reminded to strive for justice, to love kindly, and to walk humbly with all in the sacred light that is your life.
Choices lie before me, roads that I can take. I want the one I walk upon to be a choice that love would make. Much can be distracting, much can lead astray. I want the world I travel on to be where love can lead the way. So before I go, I would like to know, what call would justice make? What path would kindness take? What would a little more wisdom see? What would courage set free? What would compassion say? What might just save the day? These are all one question that would love do now? What would love do now? Every new decision, whether large or small, can have an impact far beyond what I may ever see at all. I can't know the outcome standing at the start, but at the end I hope I find that it was love that moved my heart. So before I go, I would like to know, what call would justice make? What path would kindness take? What would a little more wisdom see? What would courage set free? What would compassion say? What might just save the day? These are all one questions. What would love do now? What would love do now? What would love do now?
taking care of me.
I got your mic. So